Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what?
I hope this isn't about your podcast again.
Why, did you finally listen to it?
I came in like a wrecking ball.
The Grooming Next Door is recorded in front of a live studio audience. Welcome to the Grooming Next Door. You're listening to my mommy and daddy.
And now our feature presentation.
And here's your host, my mommy and daddy, Chris and Stella Queen.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 82 of The Groomer Next Door, returning to a noisy coffee house like the beginning. I'm your co-host Chris Green. Sitting next to me as always is the lovely and fabulous Sarah.
Hello.
Well, as I said, we have decided to go back to our original stomping grounds that seems to have all of a sudden just become the noisiest place out there.
I got stuck talking to one of our friends we ran into, and not really stuck because I really enjoy talking to her. But you know when two girls get together and start yakking, it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, this actually should have been already recorded in the bag.
About 20 minutes ago.
About 20 minutes ago. So, yeah, that's funny. Well, this is going to be our very first explicit episode of the podcast.
Are you sure it's the first one? I think we've had a couple.
No, we never actually put explicit on anything. We've had some rants. We've had some missing episodes that were explicit.
Yeah.
But they were never actually explicit because they never aired.
Okay.
So this is our very first one, and you probably noticed with the album art, it actually says explicit on it. It's not for the foul language, it's because of content. The content in our last segment, excuse me, will be a little bit harsh, and it's not exactly the most, well, it's not the most enjoyable, but it is a story
you can read it from on there. It's pretty.
It's graphic.
Yeah, it's pretty straight to the point what the album art says.
Yeah, I mean that's why I make album art every week. Of course, we're gonna do our weekly roundup. We're gonna have a Grooming Academy update and something with GND news. So, shall we dive right into weekly roundup?
Sure, why not?
All right.
The Weekly Roundup, yeah.
All right. Well, this week's weekly roundup, I'm obviously not a part of. So tell us all about your week and what went on during the week at the shop.
Well, since the new girl Samantha started and took over your place, she has been a fast learner. I was very worried and nervous about how you'll be leaving my side. She's picked up pretty strong. I'm very shocked. You know how picky I am. You know if something's not done right the first time, it's definitely going to be right the next time. And if it doesn't, there will be hell to pay. And what's great is that her first couple days of training, she did a few mistakes, and we corrected it. After that, she didn't make those mistakes. So it's like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to get mad. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
And somebody actually had mentioned to her, I guess, it wasn't me, I promise. Somebody had mentioned that you were pretty tough if you pissed off. And I don't know who told her this. Like I said, I swear to you it wasn't me. And she's scared to death to see your grumpy side come out.
Yeah, she mentioned I guess she said something to Keith. How she really...
You see, if you wouldn't have done all this talking... You see, you did all the talking, you weren't coughing. Now you blew out your voice, and now look it.
I'm still trying to recover from being sick. Leave me alone.
But you were fine for all that talking.
Gigi's important to talk to you, alright? I enjoy it. So back off. Anywho, so I guess she told Keith that she's really scared about making me mad. And it's like, look, it takes a lot to get me angry. I'll help and recreate different scenarios where she can actually better herself. One person has gotten me to my ticked off point, and she was out of there the next day. But it took months to get there. I mean, her and I were working together side by side for, I want to say, like 4 or 5 months. And then the last month, she started wearing on my nerves. And then one day I snapped and said, all right, you're out of here. I'm done with you. So it takes a long time. Samantha is doing fantastic work. She cares about the pets. She is gentle with them. Oh, so awesome. Can't wait till you come back to this grooming salon. It has been a different atmosphere with you not there.
So, yeah, I'm actually dying to come back already. Just a week in, I'm already like, I want to go home.
I want to go back to my salon.
I do. You know, one of the things I do have to mention, because it's part of our weekly roundup, is I had moved from into my one place, and the next day had to move out to another place. Reasons doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, it really took a hit on our budget.
Oh,
sadly.
man.
That hit our budget hard.
That took out 2 weeks of your budget for
Yeah,
home.
it definitely hurt budget.
Rent.
But the problem that we're going to face now is I don't have internet where I live. So the only way we can actually do this podcast is if I'm home. So this week,
If you're home, or I come out to visit you and we stay in a hotel.
right, which that sounds nice too.
I want to stay at least one night at the Ramada
Oh, I want that too.
and go to a baseball game.
Oh, I want that so bad.
If I had to work extra on a Saturday, I will do so. If we had to put a night's of hotel on credit cards, we will do. It will happen.
It will happen. Yeah, that's definitely one of it. I'll go into, the school thing, but I just want to actually put that out there for everybody. If for some reason we miss a week, like I drove home on Friday, unexpectedly, I came home on Friday. I might come back next weekend, I don't know, but not on our car, I'll rent a car, but...
Well, you coming back this weekend...
actually helped.
It was needed. You went through so much strain. The first couple days, it was intense.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot for anybody to handle. So coming home and, being away for Father's Day, Claire was having a hard time with that.
Yeah.
She was, why isn't Daddy here for Father's Day? It's another thing where she was upset that she thinks that you aren't going to be there for her birthday again. And that just sent her into a whirlwind.
Yeah.
So we got to be very mindful that our little girl is becoming very emotional. She's becoming an actual little girl.
Right.
And being emotional. And so we had to take that in consideration too.
Right. And that was kind of how I had treated this whole, concept. So what else happened this week?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, I'm so used to you being there telling me what happened. Now you're asking me and I don't remember.
Yeah, it is difficult. We've approached this.
We had a really cool Labradoodle Saturday.
Yeah.
This Labradoodle is so agile that he jumped up into our tub while you're trying to get the ramp ready for him to go into the
he just
tub.
dived. He dived.
He just jumped right into it.
Oh, yeah.
And one single swoop, whoop, right on in.
I was like, oh my gosh.
And I've been able to train Stonewall. That's the dog's name, Stonewall. I call him Stony. I was able to train Stonewall that when I open your kennel door, the only thing you're doing is going to my grooming table.
He is awesome.
So I open the kennel door. I'm like, Stonewall, table. He goes into my groom room, and he just hops right up to my table, turns around, sits down, and waits for me.
It's amazing. He is an amazing dog.
And then I try to take him off the grooming table. I actually pick him up.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for dogs to go from ground to up than it is for up to down. The inertia going down can cause more physical problems than going upwards. So I help him down. I'm like, okay, come on, it's time to get back in your kennel. He turns around, little butthead jumps back up on my table. I'm like, excuse me? I don't think so, Stonewall. We're done. It was just totally adorable.
It was. I've always had one big drawback, and this week I actually was able to kind of conquer that fear, and that was nail trimming. I've always had a real phobia of it. I think it was a lack of confidence more than anything else. That I never knew how to actually use the Dremel to grind them down either. So this week, I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened.
Well, you got your confidence up into doing at least the nail trim part itself.
Yep.
Since you got the actual nail trim down, everything else falls in place when it comes to the nails. Once I showed you the proper way to steady your hand.
The steadying was cool on the Dremel.
And what's cool too is when you're steadying your hand, the vibrations of the nail grind actually goes through your body more than the dog's body.
Mm-hmm.
So you take more of the vibration than the dog.
Yeah.
And that helps too. And it's just simple. You got it. You got it handled.
And it was weird because it was always a phobia. I mean, this week I built confidence in a few different levels, and that's weird. Just 1 week of school, and I've already seemed to accomplish some things that I'm really proud of. So is that what you would call your week so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sums it up. Just same old, same old.
Same old, same old. All right. Well, let's move on to this week in the grooming school.
Okay, class is about to start.
All right, this is day 1 completion of grooming school. So it has been a challenge moving out to Springfield, being away from my wonderful wife and my daughter. There's definitely a part of me that just screams, go home, be with your family, you crazy, crazy person. But, I'm in it, and I'm in it to win it. So today, on our very first day of school, I observed them in their bathing. Not my style of bathing, but that's what makes it so much fun, is to see other groomers in their element. I've learned a little bit from what they do. I hope I may have said a couple things they may have actually, thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. After I was able to watch them in their element, now they use a bunch of different bottle shampoos, so it's a little bit different for me. But after watching them, then they had me use a fluff dryer for the very first time. I love fluff dryers. I'm pretty sure Sarah would probably say the same thing. The fluff dryer, when you're actually working on a dog, really, really gets up in there. Makes the dogs nice and fluffy. You get all the dead hair. So my first dog that I ever worked on with a fluff dryer was a Pomeranian. I brought the dog to the instructor. She wanted me to work a little bit more on the dog, and that's completely fine. I want to make sure I maintain their standards here, because this is not my shop. I want to maintain their standards. And she was happy with my work. Then I did 2 more Pomeranians, and she was very happy with it. So that was a real rewarding moment for me. Then I went on to a Bichon, and she wanted to see if I could actually fluff it and get all the strings out, because if you don't actually fluff it, you'll have stringy, curly fur, and it can be bad, and she's meticulous. So she actually liked the results, so I was really happy. It was a good positive for me. So then we moved on, and I start working on curved shears, which I know Delane would be excited, because I worked on a standard poodle with that. And that was interesting, trial and error for me. So yeah, that was the first day of school. It was a very long day, 8 to 4, I think it was for me. And then tomorrow will be a little earlier. So getting my hours down and hoping that I actually can have a little bit more knowledge tomorrow. So that concludes day 1. Hello everybody, and just getting you up to speed, this is day 2 of our Grooming Academy. Today was another one of those busy days. I started today at 7:30 in the morning. Pretty much what it was, a lot of it at the morning part was bathing, drying, stuff like that. Not because of any other reasons besides there was just not a lot of other things to do. So took a couple dogs in the morning. Then we had a miniature poodle that was fully matted, and my instructor wanted me to actually demat it with regular. Oh boy, I'm sorry guys, I am completely tired today. A slicker brush and an actual comb. And of course you do that when you actually are using a fluff dryer. And so you just work at it. It was more of a lesson to be taught how to actually get the actual mats out. So that was a lot of work. A lot of work went into that one. Did a couple other dogs as well. Observed beveling today, beveling on an actual standard poodle. That is a lot of work right there. We worked on doing pads, shaving pads, and actually grinding nails. So those were the things today that actually stood out. Pretty much I've gotten in 2 days almost 17 hours accomplished. It is a 400-hour course, so I've got 17 hours. Woohoo! So hope that you all enjoyed day 2, and I will be joining you again for day 3. Hey everybody, and this is day 3 of the Grooming Academy. So today, I found out that they've actually accelerated me. Normally the students don't get the kind of training that I'm getting this early. So I learned how to do clean feet on a poodle. Can be very difficult because all the little microscopic hairs could be very hard to miss, or easy to miss, hard to find. And so that was a definite challenge. Got to work on a couple big labs that were not exactly well behaved. Had a real busy day of just little bits and pieces. Used for the very first time a 4 skip. So that was kind of cool. And like always, you still continuously will do baths because that's still a grooming task. And that was pretty much. Then of course I observed rounding of a head of a Bichon. Just little minute things of watching a lot of different technical cuts. But yeah, things are actually going really well. So that concludes day 3, and thank you guys for all the support. Hello everybody, and welcome to day 4 of Grooming Academy. Today was a shorter day than normal. We didn't have as many dogs as we normally do, for me to work on at least. The biggest dog of the day and the story of the day came from a border collie that I did half of the shave down with, plus I actually cleaned up all the flyaways. It was very difficult because the rump itself was very thick fur, but was able to actually make it look pretty darn good, so I was really proud of that. After that was just pretty much observation and some more bathing. So yeah, that concludes the first week of Grooming Academy, and it was quite an experience. Looking forward to restarting next week, but in the meantime, heading back home to see my family. Thank you for listening to another day of Grooming Academy. Alright, so that was all 4 days. Now you might be saying, well, that's only 4 days. What happened the 5th day? We actually are there from Tuesday to Friday. It was a very interesting week. Obviously, as you can tell, I wanted to record every night what had happened, just so that things were fresh. Back, way back when I was in security, they always teach you, write it down when it's fresh. And that's even law enforcement. It's write it down when it's fresh so that you don't miss anything. I wanted to make sure I kept them as brief as possible with as much detail as possible as well. Sarah has yet to actually hear them all, which is probably, you lived it with me, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, I really, I obviously, my home is Shadowwood, and my family's there, and that's where I want to be. So it is very challenging to actually go to a new place. It's like, the people are nice and all. I will probably never, see or talk to these people after I'm done here. And that's not for anything other than the fact that this is a mission for me. My head goes down and I start working the moment I get in there and I start learning. My first day they had me pick up shears. And that was really, really, really interesting. Boy, yeah. Go ahead, parents. Just let your kids scream right with the microphone.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's just like there's indoor voices.
Right. So, I have a kid. And I would never allow mine, but it's one of those things. Anyway. So, I really have to say, things do have to progress. That's one thing I'm going to say. This week, I will start to expect some progressions.
Yes.
I will expect to actually be doing a lot more this week. My expectations are definitely at a certain level. You know that. I have my expectations, and as time will go on, they're going to be met. It's, just as simple as that. And I think that we're on the right path. So I'm hoping to actually get back sooner. Sarah and I have discussed this, of course. I'm hoping to have the knowledge, the experience, the
it's
ability.
Just getting so busy at the salon. I'm turning dogs away.
Yeah.
And it's
I lost
unfair.
one of my dogs last week. One of the dogs I normally do a bath brush nails on, we had to turn away because I wasn't here, and they won't go to anybody but us.
Yeah.
Sarah can't do it. And
So they're just she just ended up washing them at home, and will catch us later.
Yep. So
But it's nice, that's how most of our customers are. They would rather wash them at home and wait for us
right.
than go to Joe Smo that's down the street from us and get a hack job.
Right. And that's what this is all about.
And
So
I confidently say hack job. It's not I'm not speculating.
yeah, you're not speculating. You're actually factual. You're actually using
It's
fact.
actually
Yeah.
fact.
And that's it. And we can pinpoint it. We can diagram it. So and that's just it. There's one thing that they say when you first come in is you can become a groomer, or you can be one of those groomers that just shaves down dogs and does a half-ass job. So I don't want to be just a half-ass groomer. I really want to be a skilled groomer that hones in on the skill and is able to do it. And that's what all this is about. So, the time away from you and Claire is difficult. We're trying to kind of right the ship a certain way. We obviously lived through a move away situation 2 years ago, so we've got a lot of experience in this area.
Yep. And once again, you leave me alone with another Leo.
Who obviously on the first time we saw the movie Inside Out today, and she has displayed emotions for the very first time during a movie. I gotta mention that because this is all a time capsule. So I was really proud of her. I know you were too, just to see her show such emotion.
Most of the time, the only emotion she really shows is either joy.
Yeah.
She's either happy or she's mad.
Right.
She doesn't ever really get sad. I mean, she does when you go off, she'll get sad, but it's only for a very brief time.
Right. She's a very flexible child.
Exactly. But this time, when she saw the movie and saw all the stuff that happened during the movie, it just hit her. And I look over because she's just still, I can see her out of the corner of my eye. She's normally bouncing around. This time she was just sitting there.
Yeah. She could relate. She related to this movie.
I just look over at her and here's just these tears coming down, free flowing from her eyeballs. And she did not want us to see it.
No.
So she just kind of turns her head away from me. And so I'm watching the screen and I kind of look at the corner of my eye without moving my head. and she's wiping her eyes. She's just making sure nobody's looking so she can wipe her eyes. It's like, oh, she actually cares. She understands that life can be sad.
Well, we've given her so many challenges that a lot of kids don't have to face. You know, mommy's working, daddy has to get on a plane and go somewhere, or daddy's got to move to another city that she's gone to. She knows where it's at, but she knows it's not close. Mommy, daddy have to work. You know, she's had, you know, obviously parents have to work, and there's very few parents that don't. So, you know, their kids always have to be resilient, but we've put ours into a different category where she's had to learn to deal with that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, most time mommy and daddies come home at night.
Yeah.
And then some later than others, but they're still at home.
Yeah. Very few parents. I mean, obviously there's a lot of parents out there that travel and do all kinds of things.
Or the military.
Or
that
military.
are gone.
Right. So there's a lot of different aspects, but yeah, it was a real challenge to watch her have such emotions. So if you have a kid and, you know, you want to take them to a good movie, I mean, we usually don't talk about movies on this podcast, but definitely one of those things. Definitely got to go see that movie.
Yeah, that movie was Inside Out. It's in theaters now. And it was price of admission. It was perfect. It explains so much.
No.
And it's got some adult humor in it.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's all around funny. But it does have its own share of sadness in it.
And relatable.
So be careful.
Very relatable. All right, let's move on to GND News. All right, and welcome to the GND Newsroom. We have 2 good stories for you this week. Story number 1 is Zombie Dog. I loved it just because of the title. That's what actually caught my attention to start with, because I'm like, zombie? Cool. Walking Dead? Really? This would be cool. But after listening to the story, it's just not really what you think it is. So you got to hear this story to understand. You want to weigh in before they actually hear it?
I think it was a great little story.
I think it was.
I mean, I'll talk more about it afterwards.
Okay.
Running around and playing in the backyard, Thea looks like any other puppy. But Thea is one lucky dog. Back in February, the stray 1-year-old bully breed mix that was fed by farmhands was hit by a car. One of the farmhands who saw her get hit tried putting her out of her misery.
She was hit in the head with a hammer and then buried.
Then, like something out of a movie, 4 days later, Thea reappeared at a nearby farmhouse. Injured and severely malnourished, she was then taken to the veterinary school at Washington State University, where she was treated for those injuries. These images from a CAT scan show multiple fractures in Thea's head. The damage to her sinus cavity so severe she needs surgery so she can once again breathe out of her nose. Looking for help, Thea's new owners have created a page raising money for surgery and a second chance at life.
The surgery is supposed to be in upwards of $9,000, plus the medical care for the vet and everything.
Still skinny and a little weak, Thea's appetite is back, and she's steadily been gaining weight. And as she continues to recover, her new owners, Ryan and Sarah, say they're amazed at the outpouring of support their miracle dog has received.
I think it's awesome how everybody's coming together, and I think it's awesome that, you know, trying to save a dog that was pretty much abandoned and left for dead. And I mean, like you can see, I mean, she's full of life, and she gets the surgery. I think, you know, she's going to be a very happy dog.
All right, so Zombie Dog, what did you want to actually add to that?
Okay, at first, they wanted to humanely...
That was not humanely.
Take care of the dog, you know? If it's suffering, they want to put it out of its misery. So they thought that a hammer would have done the trick. The thing is that any skull is thick, hard. It's meant to take a beating. I mean, look how many people I smack upside the head and they're still alive. So you can't do that. There's a reason why it's illegal to do that, especially in the States.
Right.
It's illegal to do that.
I didn't understand
The only
that.
way that it is humane to put the dog out of its misery on your own terms is by a lethal weapon, a gun,
And I don't know if
to the back of the head.
And I don't know if that's actually legal in a lot of states. I know here it is.
Here it is. We found
but
that out the hard way.
Unfortunately. Yeah, I honestly, I'm going to go with the fact that you could just take it to the vet and have it humanely put down. Please, if you're going to take anything out of this episode, and we got a lot of knowledge here for you, if you're going to take anything out of this episode, please humanely take the dog and have it euthanized by a professional.
They go and do this and then bury it. I mean, buried alive, and obviously it wasn't very deep, thank God.
Yeah.
Because the dog crawled out. And then all the people trying to support the pup and its recovery is amazing. But there is a proper way of putting a dog out of its misery.
Right.
And same thing with when you hit a deer on the side of the road. You don't just leave it there gasping for air. You know, it's suffering. You do what you have to kill it.
To relieve it from its misery.
But to just take a random hammer.
Yeah, I think they were watching Thor.
Yeah, I'm like,
idiot. That was
you
an
can
idiot
tell when a dog's breathing.
Yeah.
Even if it's shallow, you could still tell that a dog is breathing.
It was a moron thing to do, but
yeah,
luckily
it was I don't know.
Outcome was beautiful, so that's what matters. All right, and our next clip comes from actually Colorado. The other one was from Washington, if I'm not mistaken. This one comes from Colorado. I definitely have a lot of things I want to complain about. I'll let you hear the clip, and then we'll actually discuss.
I don't know why he would do that to me.
That's Army veteran David Gambrell behind his cell phone camera, suffering from what he says was a severe anxiety attack.
I don't know, I'm trying to ground myself. I already alerted the authorities about this, so...
A church security guard wouldn't back down,
Down?
asking Gambrell repeatedly about his service dog, Sergeant Buddy.
Do you have some identification? Because you're in the church property, so I need to see your ID. Again, I don't need your help here.
At one point, members of the church even step in.
We want to welcome I don't need your help here, okay?
I was at a loss for words. Yes.
Gambrell is an Army war veteran. His injuries, you can't see.
Here we go. It took me 10 years after I got back from the war in Iraq to admit to myself that I had PTSD.
Gambrell and Sergeant Buddy are new to the Springs, and this was their first visit to First Presbyterian Church downtown. Had that guard been anywhere else, like a restaurant, his actions would have been illegal. But because it happened in a church, federal ADA regulations are thrown out the window.
Churches were exempted from Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act when it was passed.
Maggie Sims with the Rocky Mountain ADA says anywhere other than a religious establishment, there are only two questions that can be asked.
Number one, is this a service animal? And then number two, what task has that animal been trained to perform?
He's not a dog. He's not a pet. He's a service animal.
Gambrell says he's not mad at the guard or the church.
I'm trying to ground myself.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that.
He's happy he hit record so others can learn from his experience and be more mindful of those with a disability. In Colorado Springs, Rana Novini, KRDO News Channel 13.
Well, leave it up to a rent-a-cop with an ego and no authority to be a jackass.
I mean, if he was following his job.
There's a proper way.
But you need to go through the chain of command. You just don't go on your own terms, you know. I have so many issues with this. It's not even funny.
Well, from people who actually come from a security background, I mean, we've got it up the wazoo. I have it physically. You have it managerially. I'm going to use, you go from yours first. I'm going to go with mine. And
I always told my guards, you have something pop up that's unusual, you contact me, you contact the second in charge, you contact the third in charge.
It's called the chain of command.
Exactly. You get a hold of me. Obviously first, if it's on a shift that is in the middle of the night, don't be calling me at 2 a.m. when I'm trying to get ready, trying to get some sleep for an 8 a.m. shift.
Right.
But follow the proper chain of command and proceed from there. Don't just take it on your own 2 cents. Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. On your end, what would you say for the security part? Because there's multiple levels of this I want to talk about.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been a rent-a-cop, and I've taken it as high as you can really take anything like that. I don't care what level you're at. There is always a protocol that you want to take, whether you're just wearing a polo shirt that says security on it, or whatever. You want to actually treat everybody with dignity and respect. Now, you can check these videos out. Both of them are on YouTube. And you can Google it. You can see it for yourself. This guy is just on a power trip. And I would say 9 out of 10 security guards out there are on power trips. Very little training goes into these guys a lot of times. He's definitely one of those, does not have a lot of training, thinks that he's SWAT, and wants to actually, he's almost like in Terminator, what was the liquidy Borg guy? I can't think of his name, what he was.
No idea.
But if you think of the Terminator movie, the one that was going after Schwarzenegger, that's what this guy reminded me of completely.
Well, yeah, it's some guards are trying to become police officers, and they think because they took the test that they're all of a sudden a police officer, and they fail miserably.
Paul Blart, walk off.
Right. So that was absolutely frustrating in general.
And this guy looked military. He looked retired military. His dog had everything that looked like service. No way around it.
Right. And to go to a church where you want to listen to the Lord, about the Lord, and listen to the stories, and to be turned away because you can't see, you got your service dog with you.
I don't think he was turned away. I just think that police were called and they gave him a lot of grief.
Either way, I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to go to the church after that.
No.
You know, what kind of leadership would they have if they did this?
What's the message that they're trying to send?
Exactly, and it's like I went to a church one time, and I was looked down upon because I was a teenage girl, trying to figure out what kind of teenage girl I wanted to be, what kind of woman I wanted to be.
We've all been there.
Right. I didn't know if I wanted to be the uppity type and dress in nothing but preppy clothes, or did I want to take my creative avenue and dress the way I want to dress. Well, I took my creative avenue. You know, I had my blue jeans on, I had sneakers, my hair was in a ponytail, I had this like multicolored vest on. You know, I was a teenager. I was turned away. I was told, no, I'm sorry, but you need to, next time you come here, you need to dress a little differently.
Yeah.
And what it says is you bring the best to the Lord. If your best has a stain on it, then that's your best. You bring that to the Lord. You know, if your best is having to be guided by a dog, then that's your best.
Well, especially when you have a disability. Now, I know the ADA does not actually have any kind of jurisdiction within a church. Separates, you know, this is where separating church from state, you know, this is where the first time I actually heard that it should have been, you know, there should be separation. And now it actually happens, and it's jackassery.
Well, okay, now, separation is church and state. Okay, a lot of people say it's to keep the church out of the state. And a lot of people say it's to keep the state out of the church.
Right.
I'm a believer it keeps the state out of the church.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want regulations on how we want to worship.
Right.
No harm, no foul. We're not hurting others. We're not slaughtering animals in front of people. But there needs to be a guideline for everybody to live under.
Yeah.
So there's still parts where the government makes the church live under a certain rule.
Yeah.
You know, they're under watch to make sure they keep up what they're supposed to be doing, so they don't lose their tax exemption.
Their 501c3 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they do.
Right.
And then I believe the preacher pays taxes anyways.
I don't know.
They're taking an income. They're being paid to do it. So
yeah, I don't
I'm
know
pretty
if they
sure
do.
they're taking
They might.
But the church itself is different. They're two separate entities. So, for the Disability Act, I don't see that being government.
State. Right, I don't see that as state either.
I don't see that being state. I see that as being a humanitarian issue, which we all are humans. We all need to take in consideration. It's like you cannot have a church where you're not allowed to let in black people.
Right.
You're not allowed to have a church that doesn't allow Asians. That is a law. So the state is part of church somehow, some way.
Well, and state,
it's humanitarian. It's being humane to everybody else.
Right. You have to think about everybody's feelings, but when it's something that's a disability, how that they're able to say, well, there's no way. So I'm sorry, you're paraplegic, and we don't have a wheelchair ramp for you, or whatever. I'm going to use an example. We had a mentally challenged at the church that we used to go to. There was a person that was mentally challenged, and they would just out of nowhere just blurt out, sounds. They obviously wanted to bring them to church. They wanted to go to church.
Yeah,
and
the actual caretakers wanted to go to church.
And they took them to a quiet room. But even at that quiet room, it still was so loud, it still projected. But there was nobody saying, no, you can't be here.
It's the same thing. Oh, sorry, you can't bring your baby to church because it's going to cry in the middle of service.
Right.
All because the dog isn't going to squat.
Right.
And take a crap in your church.
Right, and if it did, I'm sure you would have picked up.
And if it did, a little carpet cleaner. I'm sorry. But there's another problem that I have about churchgoers. They take their sanctuary and make it this holy ground. Which there is no such thing.
Right.
It's not holy ground. All because you build a church upon it doesn't mean diddly. You and I can have the same spiritual effect and have the same Holy Spirit present right here in Panera at this booth as if we were to go to a mega church.
And with that said, let me actually address this. Sarah is the one that loves to go to church. You love the message. You love the whole camaraderie. I, on the other hand, am the other way around it. I love the idea of spiritualization. I believe in God, but I don't believe in church. I've had, and you've unfortunately seen, different acts where I have been unbecoming of leadership in churches, which have provided me with the reasons why I never step foot in them anymore.
Right.
You, even with your argument you're making, you're one that actually supports going to church. So
I do.
I want to actually make that clear. It sounds like the reverse role right now in recording, but Sarah's actually the churchgoer, not me.
Yeah, see, and I raised Claire in the church. Claire, once I'm not sick anymore, we'll be going back to church. And I love going to church Sunday morning. Same thing with Claire. Mommy, we're going to church today?
Yeah, she loves it.
I'm sorry, honey, I'm sick. I can't stop coughing. I can't go.
Right.
And even if I were to be in a quiet room, I still feel like I'm a bit sick, and I don't want to get the babies sick. They're in the quiet room with their mothers. That's not right either.
Right.
So I'm just going to have to wait until I feel better in order to do so. So yes, I am a churchgoer. I love my church. I always will love my church. And it doesn't have to be any specific church. It's any church that I can hear the truth about what the Bible says.
Right.
Not some made-up crap that some of the actual hate churches have, like Westboro and such.
Yeah.
So for them to do this,
it angers. It angered me in two different areas. You represent
he's a vet.
You're right.
He went and he fought for us.
For the freedoms that you're preaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any good Christian will preach about the right to serve God, the freedom to have to serve God, and the pride they have for our country. Well, where do you think all those three things come from? Those folks that are overseas fighting the people who want us to become one religion.
Yeah.
And want to take over our country.
And with a time right now, and obviously we're not going to even cover all the hate that's being spewed around all over the place. We're not that kind of thing. We're not that kind of show. But with all the hate that's out there, this is where it's like, really, seriously, it's not hate. It's called ignorance.
Right.
And there's a plentiful amount to pretty much pick from all over the place. So
there's a country song, okay? There's always a country song for every single situation, I tell you what. It's an older country song. It talks about how, the guy wants to go to church, but they won't let him in because he has a cowboy hat and boots. It doesn't matter how you come, it's just that you're coming to the Lord.
Right.
If that means you have to bring your service dog, then you have to bring your service
I almost think that going in your birthday suit would be more appropriate because that's how God made you.
Right.
Clothes is not.
Well, since Adam and Eve did what they
That
did,
is,
we have that
shame.
The shame
Yeah.
that was brought upon us.
I still like the idea of birthday suits.
But you know, the Lord gave this guy, this wounded warrior, a blessing of a dog to help service him. You know, get him around from point A to point B or whatnot, help calm him down. So why are you saying that the blessing that the Lord gave him isn't allowed into this church?
Because they're making law?
It's humans. That's another problem. I will not join a church.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I will never join a church. I'll go and I'll listen, but I'll never join a church, because by joining a church and becoming part of their congregation, you become part of their government.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing corruption.
Yeah.
And then they make it their laws on what they want to hear and what they want preached.
But and we do that even with the different things that we're a part of. We don't actually become part of anything. We're not part of a governing part of anything.
Well, yeah, there's some nonprofits in our area that we will never become board members of.
Yeah, no.
Because I don't want to be mixed up in their propaganda.
Right.
I don't want to be mixed up in their legality.
You're close enough.
In legalities, whatever. Their nitty bitty, gritty.
Yeah, and that's everywhere.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with it.
Right.
I will be more than happy to help the dogs, raise money for the dogs. Because I know at least the nonprofits that we work for, it goes to the right place. But I don't have to deal with them.
Well, I think that's a good way of closing on that.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little long-winded on that.
Let's move on to our main story, and like we had mentioned at the beginning, this main story is pretty explicit, so again, not on the actual vocabulary portion, but just on the content itself. I do encourage everybody to actually listen to this story. There's parts that I actually translate what was said in Chinese. I just read the subtitles so that you'll actually hear what their portions was, and I will discuss with Sarah when this is over.
The annual Dog Meat Festival upsets practically everyone who isn't taking part in it.
For the past 2 decades, every summer, Solitude Yulin locals have a custom of feasting on dog meat and lychees. They want to protect their dog eating traditions from outside influence.
Animal rights activists say the dog meat trade is cruel, unhygienic, and poorly regulated, with stolen pets and strays making their way to the dinner table. Despite all this, and spurred on by fierce backlash from across China, some Yulin locals say this year they're even more set on ploughing down man's best friend by the cageful. Yulin is a town of 6 million, not far from China's southern border of Vietnam. We arrived the day before summer solstice, and everyone was getting ready to celebrate by killing some dogs.
So we're just heading down to Dongkou Shicheng, which is one of the main meat markets here in Yulin. It's where a lot of people obviously buy their meat, so I'm hoping that there'll be guys buying dogs in preparation for the festival. Oh my god.
Film the sign, film it more.
The smell is just, I don't know, because it's meaty, it's like horribly meaty, and it's kind of mixed with that familiar doggy smell, and it just really turns your stomach. But, you know, I don't hang out in meat markets that often, and a lot of Chinese meat markets, to be fair, are pretty explicit. So maybe this is normal. Maybe my stomach would be turned anyway, even if I didn't see so many dead dogs.
What if What is it that you like about eating dogs?
吃狗肉。它很香啊，
It's really flavored and nutritious.
很补啊，身体健康。
It keeps your body well.
觉得不贵吗？
Isn't it quite expensive though?
贵17、18块。
18 yuan for 500 grams isn't expensive.
不贵。猪肉多少钱？
How much is pork? Pork is 14 yen, beef is 35 yen.
要15块，牛要35，牛要更贵啊。
Beef is more expensive.
觉得吃狗肉不是很残忍吗？哪里残忍？
How is it cruel? Eating beef is even more cruel, you know?
鸡牛要更残忍咯，那个牛帮你们。
Cows help you plow fields. That much more cruel.
耕田呢，你更残忍咯。
There's no need to eat pet dogs, but regular dogs are for food. There is nothing extraordinary about that. We're building our nation. Don't you need to make money for that? People raise dogs to make money. It's also to help China flourish.
Where do they come from?
Where do they come from?
师傅，这些狗是
Sir, where are these dogs coming from?
从哪里来？
They are raised in big groups of farms. These aren't pets.
大帮的养来的，不是宠物搞这个。如果你们养狗的话，
If you raise them on farms, how come they're so cheap?
为什么这么便宜？因为养狗很贵，对。
Farming dogs should be expensive. You've got to.
因为他们宠物狗的贵。
Pets are expensive. These aren't
如果是
pets.
宠物狗，我们
If they were pets, we wouldn't want to kill them. Get it?
赶杀，懂不懂？我懂。这个不是宠
These aren't pets.
So when I just asked the guy delivering the dogs where they came from, he said they're from Guizhou, outside of the province. But no one seems to be able to give me an exact answer for where these dogs are from. Everything must go into whatever they're cooking. They're just kind of blindly chopping. I'm really scared to open my mouth because I think that there's kind of like dog meat going inside it.
How many dogs do you sell a day? How many? A lot. I barely remember. More than 100? More than 100? That's right. The media have been talking about this a lot recently. How would you respond to them? Don't you think it's cruel? I'm not forcing him to eat dog. Why should they be able to stop me from killing dogs? What right do those people have?
It seems like people are very much aware of the bad name that they're getting for eating dogs, but they're very defensive and quite hostile towards us. On the other hand, they say that it's their right to eat dog, because living conditions have got better in China. They're able to eat dog more, and they're not forcing anyone else to eat them. The butchery is bleak enough, but it's the downtown market where people are buying the freshest, locally sourced produce that really messes with your head. So these, actually, to be fair, look more like the kind of dogs I was expecting to be bred for eating. Apart from that guy over there who looks distinctly like my Bichon Frise.
Shake hands. Shake hands. Over here. That's right. Are you killing this one? If someone wants to eat it, then they can kill it. If someone wants it, they can kill it. That's right. I've raised so many. But isn't this your pet? No, I bought it to resell it.
I
I thought I was talking to her pet. And then she said, yeah, if someone wants to buy him, I'll sell him for food.
I'm going to be honest, okay? I'm not doing good business. But I have a big family. There are good people and kids, and my husband is gone. Where can I get the money to support them? What am I supposed to do? Right? I understand. I have to rely on myself to put food on the table. Will you be eating dog today? I will eat dog. I raise dogs. I don't eat them. If you don't believe me, go check my home. You tell me if the pots have any trace of dog.
It's a business. They want to sell the pets whether they're as pets or whether they're as meat. They just want to sell them.
Shandai is an activist spearheading the anti-dog festival movement. I caught her wandering around the market looking teary.
So what are you doing here today?
Today I'm checking the
Well, today I'm checking the markets. Checking data about the dog and cat meat trade.
About the dog cat meat trade.
According to our investigation, dogs and cats were killed.
Investigation, dog and cats was killed
in the dog meat festival.
Dog meat festival is over 50,000 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, very huge.
Over 50,000. But that's dogs and cats.
Yeah, including some cats.
Yeah, that includes some cats.
Yeah, about 10,000 pieces.
So about 40,000 dogs killed.
Yeah.
So do you think the festival is bigger than it was last year?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's bigger than last year.
Bigger than last year. I
think the Yulin government has done something and it's worked.
Yulin government have to do something and it worked.
We can also see it's being controlled step by step.
It was controlled step by step. But however, in this
But how are in these dog trade markets?
I just wonder because
this is not legal trade.
It's not the legal trade. This volume is not so.
The volume is not so small.
So small. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I found some dogs.
Yeah, and I found some dogs, and that old and sick.
Was old or sick, and you may get.
And you might get sick from them.
Get some sick. So I think
you need to get more strict control here.
You will get a more strict control. Yeah.
Can you just explain to us? You said they're illegal. Can you explain that?
The trading here is illegal.
The trading here is illegal because you don't see any supervision here.
Because you don't think any supervision here. There's no evidence showing that.
There's no evidence showing that these dogs belong to the traders.
This is belonging to the trader.
Do you have any demonstrations planned or anything for today?
I think maybe.
I think maybe later today we'll do it.
Later we'll do it. Yeah.
We're just on our way over to the city government. We've heard that there are animal rights protesters demonstrating over there. I have to say, up till now, their attempts have been a little bit shambolic, so not quite sure what to expect.
Facing a PR nightmare this year, the city government has retracted its support of the festival, claiming the holiday barely even exists. And they clearly don't want any fuss being made because before the protest even started, the square was full of thugs who might well have been hired to disrupt the event. In China, unsanctioned protests are still illegal, and animal rights activists are risking arrest simply for demonstrating.
The mayor has conned us. He said the festival was canceled. Why is it still happening? Don't you know there's no such thing as a dog meat festival anymore? Then why is there slaughter everywhere? Why is there... Why are you selling in China? Why are you disgracing our country?
So it's a very nervous atmosphere at the moment. With no government officials showing up and little progress in the heated shouting match, the protest is dissolved. Ultimately, I wanted to see if a dog meat festival is really as heartbreaking as it sounds. We've been invited to celebrate the festival with a local family who were probably a little weirded out that their traditional party had drawn such deep condemnation from across China and abroad. So we've come to a village just outside of Yulin. Feels very relaxed compared to the city. I feel like I've just stepped back in time a bit. This guy here belongs to the neighbours. They brought it along just in case there wasn't enough meat to feed the 100 guests.
Is this your dog? Yes. Do you want to eat it? No. No, why not? Because I really like it.
The dog's been in this guy's family for the last 5 or 6 years, so he doesn't want it to die because he quite likes the dog. But when I asked him if he was going to eat dog today, he was like, yeah. I'm seeing 4 dead dogs inside boxes. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's really hard because there's a lot of family watching, so I don't want to look too rude, but basically they're cleaning the head, they're cutting the head open, and we're taking the meat out of the cheeks of the dog head. Quite clear that nothing is going to waste here, which I guess is a good thing. I mean, if you're going to kill a dog, you may as well eat the entirety of it, and it definitely seems like that's happening. Oh my god, they're even saving the tongue. So we've got 3 different types of dog coming along. One of them is being deep fried. This one is being stewed. And we can go and take a look at this one. Ni hao.
Hi there.
Hello.
Go ahead.
So we're going to add a bit of ginger.
That's a lot of ginger.
So these are the spices that they use. That's dog spice, so specifically designed for cooking dog meat. So inside we've got dry tangerine peel, we've got some bay leaf, a bit of anise, and a bit of cloves. So and some spice as well. So yeah, all sorts of flavours go in there. Quite strong flavours actually. They said that's partly to disguise the smell of a slightly fishy fragrance that comes out of it. So for some reason I'm not so freaked out anymore. I feel like, okay, the dogs are dead. It's just piles and piles of meat, which I can handle. The vibe was actually nicer than you'd imagine. Everyone was getting pissed on lychee liquor and crates of beer, while thankfully the neighbour's dog is spared from going in the pot. Looks like maybe a quarter of a dog. I'm just psyching myself up. I've got every single person's eyes looking at me here. I feel like I'd be incredibly rude if I refused. And what the hell, when in Rome.
What are you saying?
尝一下味道。还可以吧，味道还可以吧。
It tastes okay, right?
这个是美食。
This is gourmet cuisine.
很特别的，很特色的。
Very.
不要紧，莎莎。
Don't worry. Come on.
谢谢，谢谢。
Thanks. Thanks.
这是哪个胃吗？
这不是胃，这个是肠。
No, it's the
哦
intestines.
很好吃，最好吃是这个。
It's really tasty. It's the tastiest piece.
Okay, one at a time.
好吃哦，这边的。
No, it's really good. You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean.
真的不要。
Okay. Oh my god. Oh, fuck it.
还可以吧。
It's pretty decent, isn't it?
其实不错。
Actually, it's not bad.
没什么
I
呢。
told
没
you
你们
it's
想
not
象那么
bad.
恐怖，是不是？
It's just a little scary to try.
Kind of a little bit like beef or lamb, that kind of texture. Although I have to say, it's kind of that distinct smell that is kind of lurking in my mouth still. Alarm bells are going off in my head saying, I just ate that dog, I just ate that dog, I just ate that dog. 很多外国人觉得
A lot of foreigners think dogs are people's friends.
狗是通人性的，
是通人性的。
然后牛
Yes, they are. And cows aren't?
不是。
有一些不通啊，有一些通人性，有一些。
Some dogs are people's friends, and others are for food.
是菜，这种是菜狗。然后在印度嘛，它牛是神嘛。
我知道。
你们吃牛？
In India, cows are sacred. If you eat cows in England, all of India is against you.
你英国吃牛，他印度人全部反对你们英国人，你怎么可以呢？
How does that make sense?
是不是一样的一个道理啊？
It's the same logic.
过一个公主。
This isn't something across China.
是我们本地的一个。
It's just our local custom.
就是地方的风俗。就是我们喜欢。
So we like to eat dog. What's the big deal?
为了团他关他什么事情？然后就是不是？那是我们的自由嘛。
Obviously, squeamishness aside, eating dog isn't really that different from eating any other animal with 4 legs and 2 eyes. But frankly, the idea of slaughtering dogs that spent their last days in cages still bums me out. Which is why I'm happy that there are some people out here who'll do anything to save them. The next morning, we caught up with an activist who's just saved a whole bunch of them. She's kind of the Oscar Schindler of the dog trade.
Why did you buy these dogs? Why? To save them. I spent more than 90,000 yen. That's equivalent to $14,500 in the US. I have no more money. I wish I could have saved them all, but I couldn't. I have my own limitations. How did you make 90,000 yen? I received donations from animal lovers and from my son. My family is wealthy, but right now I don't have a home. I sold it. Forget about saving 300 dogs, even if I only saved 3. I'd have no regrets. At the very least, I didn't come to Yulin to vain. I did everything in my ability. Foot binding used to happen and now it's banned. Why can't we ban a holiday as violent as this one?
Oh my god! Do you recognize that dog? That was the dog that I saw yesterday that was supposed to go for the chop.
I know this guy. He's cute. He's much cleaner today, right? We washed and dried him, and now he's more beautiful than yesterday. He knows that we saved him.
It's come as no surprise that the dogs sold in Yulin are often kept in cramped conditions and treated no better than any other animal raised for meat. I really don't think I'll be eating dog again, but it's easy to see why the people who celebrate the festival don't want to give up their tradition. The thing is though, dogs are dogs. They're lassie and they're snowy, and they're both lady and the tramp. Which is why, frustratingly for the dog traders, I really can't see the planet ever letting this festival pass without an outrage.
So let me start with this. This was the best report that I actually could put into an audio file. I actually loved how in-depth it was. A lot of them were very, very quick.
Vague.
Very vague, exactly.
Really didn't care, just was a story to announce.
Right, and it's not like somebody actually knows a lot about what's going on there in Yulin. Now, you obviously have already found out where Yulin is. It's in China. This story is nothing new. This is nothing that hasn't been talked about before. Obviously we haven't mentioned it before because we don't hear a lot about this stuff in this country. Now, this stuff is not unheard of. This is stuff that's actually all over the world. This is just a main focus. This reporter I was okay with until the end when she actually sat down and ate the dog meat. That's when I actually was like, you really are driven by influence. I would never have. I was a little ticked off with her. I'm actually really ticked off with her. I think that she's kind of a POS reporter.
Well, it's you don't want to surround or give in to
peer pressure.
Peer pressure. We teach kids this all the time.
Right.
Don't succumb to peer pressure. And here she did.
Right.
And she
When
acted
in
like
Rome.
yeah, she acted like, oh, this is horrible. I can't believe they're doing this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. And then
And she saw this. And what really upset me is that she actually saw them when she went to the actual person's home where they were having the festivities. Because, it starts off with the actual vendors. There shows, live CCTV where they actually have, steel dogs. It was really well put together. When she actually was like, well, I'm against this, and she saw them butchering the dogs, she saw them crushing everything, she saw everything. That's when she was like, oh, this is terrible, but she still sat down and ate. And I was just like, okay. You lost my respect.
Yeah, your respect as being a reporter just went out the
Oh
window.
yeah, it was gone.
You're a liar.
Yeah,
If you really felt bad, you wouldn't have done it.
And towards the end, I loved how her opinion somewhat changes. No, folks, my opinion does not change. My opinion stays the same. This country, China itself, the Orient itself, they need to stop this crap now. And let us all be catalysts to start here in our own country, obviously, to make stricter laws against animals and animal abuse. Let's use these jerks, these a-holes, as an actual platform, because you know what? What can happen is that if it goes on and on and on, how do we know that this isn't going to happen here?
Yeah, see, they can use the excuse, like the one said, it's abuse to kill a cow since cow can plow your field. These guys are stuck so far in the past.
200, 300 years in the past.
That they cannot come forward quick enough into the modern day.
Right.
You want to talk about ignorance. This is ignorance.
Right.
They don't want to change. They know that there's better ways about doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And they refuse.
Right.
And their stupidity is ridiculous. Because ignorance is not knowing any better.
Well, yeah.
That's what ignorance is. Stupidity is knowing better and not doing it.
Right. Not conforming and actually learning from it. Yeah.
Okay, they had a farm where they farm them. Okay? Just like you have a farm with cows.
And chickens.
Okay, you have a farm with chickens. So, a part of me is like, they're farming them just like they farm cows.
But they looked awful and sickly.
It's just like going to some of the farmers that keep their chickens in wire crates where they're pooping on each other. They're not getting the sufficient amount of food.
Steroids are being injected into them.
They're thrown into grinders alive. You know, being boiled alive.
Yeah.
You know, chicks being ground down alive. You know, it's not humane in any sense possible.
Right.
You know, when I used to live on a farm-ish area, when I lived in Oregon, I had a neighbor who they raised animals and livestock, and they butchered their own. And the way they did it, it was quick, easy.
There's ways of doing this a lot easier.
They were dead within just one fell swoop of an axe. There was no more life. They weren't suffering through boiling. They weren't suffered through being drugged behind a car until they died. They weren't suffering in a kennel with diseases until they died. No, it was quick and easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
what they do over there, stealing dogs off the streets. And it basically comes down to not getting their dogs spayed and neutered.
Yeah.
It's because they reproduce so quickly that you can have so many dogs in such a quick period of time. They can't do anything but kill them. You know, they, instead of taking the dog to a kill shelter and after so many days not being adopted, they're killed. Well, they're killed and ate. So instead of a dog being disposed of and burned and then ashes being disposed of that way, they're actually taking them. So they need education. Someone needs to go in there and say, "Hey,
no, their government
this."
actually will not step in. Apparently, they just had the recent one this year just happened 4 days ago, 5 days if you really add the podcast. It happened on the 17th, I think, is when June the 17th of 2015 was this year's. So tens of thousands of dogs and cats were slaughtered for food. And I don't care how you want to make the claim. I mean, obviously we're not vegetarian. You know, yes, we eat meat. So, you know, you can make the claim, well, you eat meat, how dare you? No, a dog, a cat is not to be ate. You know, there is definitely other ways. You know, another thing is that we have so many ways, if you don't want to eat meat, and, you know, I have no problem with vegetarians, vegans, I have no issue with it. That's a life choice.
It's when they start coming after you that I have a problem.
That's when I have a problem too. But, you know, do not classify a dog and a cat as edible.
Well, they are pets.
They are pets.
They live with you.
They're shaking. The one video shows one of the dogs shaking hands, all loving, at the personal house at the final, you know, scenes of their story was. Here's the family dog that they've had for 5 years, and the girl asked the boy, and I translated it in the video, but is this dog your pet? Yes. Is it going to be ate? I hope not. I really hope not. I love my dog. And luckily the dog was spared, but they didn't need the meat. They obviously slaughtered enough. But what the F? What the serious F?
These dogs, they don't look like any regular breeds.
Overseas, animals don't look like they do here.
Like, there's no purity in breeds. They're all mixed together, and they're all just boiled.
The
problem is that if you look at them, it doesn't look like they were put out of their misery before they were boiled and their fur come off. It looks like they were just thrown into a pot.
Yeah, probably.
And
or
put a lid on.
crushed their skull, but they probably weren't dead.
So, or just stunned enough that they're not moving.
Yeah.
It's the humane thing to do. They are so inhumane to each other.
Yeah.
It's like same thing when how they're only allowed to have so many children, and then they kill off the girls. They dump them outside. I mean, there was times where they were just throwing them off a cliff, and there was just a stack of bodies because they didn't want little girls. Well, they want boys because men make the money. Men have the penises.
They carry on the legacy.
Yeah, men. They can give the sperm to create more.
Right.
So all the little girls were dying, or put into foster cares or orphanages.
And if you look at bound feet, that has become finally outlawed. I don't know how long ago, but it is outlawed now. That was a thing. You had to fit in, what was it, a size 1 or 2?
I don't know. It was that
It was
the
creepy.
foot was broken into stuff that would fit inside a baby's shoe.
If you don't know anything about bound feet, simply Google it, YouTube
And if you don't want nightmares, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it because it is.
I was on a kick of learning all about that.
That was creepy.
You thought of a poor person if you didn't bind your feet.
Yes, it's
to the point where they broke and contorted to the point where you're walking on nubs.
Yeah, it was really that's a freaky
They are
awful.
just horrible, just pain and torture all together. Like, oh my gosh.
And you know, again, we've had so many bad things happen in our own country. We have a lot of issues in our own country as well.
Oh
You know,
gosh,
we're-
yes, we have just as much of
ignorance.
Yes.
Ignorance.
of torture of our own.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm trying to divert saying that we're perfect. We are far from it. We are the furthest thing from it. But
This world needs to change.
right, and it's like I think if we make certain steps in certain areas, it does happen. I do.
And it starts with getting rid of our president, because our president went over there 2 years ago.
I
3
think it
years
was a
ago?
little longer than that.
And he went over there and he dined on dog meat.
Yeah.
He himself has a Portuguese water dog at home, and yet he goes over
Is that
there.
considerably the most expensive? I thought I heard this is the most expensive dog, a purebred dog, to actually own.
Oh gosh, no.
That's what I heard one time.
No.
Really? Because I heard.
Because Portuguese water dogs, they're more well known than feral hounds, and
I'm surprised he didn't do a feral hound, just because it had the word feral.
I don't know. Commodores are a lot more difficult to maintain than a Portuguese
Well,
water
not
dog.
difficult to maintain is one thing, but I thought I heard in cost, like it was like.
Well,
one-
yeah, that's what I mean.
Like
Whatever's the hardest
buy,
to maintain.
To buy.
Well, whatever's the hardest to maintain ends up being the most expensive.
Huh.
And same thing with the bound feet, is that you were rich because people were waiting on you hand and foot to help you along so that you can get your feet proper. And then the poor people didn't have enough people around to help you bind your feet.
People died because of that.
So you look at a Commodore or something that you have to take hours and hours and days and days and days to groom a dog. And they're that much more expensive to own.
Okay. I thought I heard that somewhere.
No, what it is that it exploded. Portuguese water dogs ended up being owned by many people because, oh, the president has one, so I'm gonna have one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I gotta
It's
follow
like-
a trend.
It's like, oh, Marley and Me just came out. I'm gonna get a Labrador Retriever. Oh, and the new Airbuds came out. I'm gonna go get myself a Golden Retriever. and since Marley and Me came out, I'm gonna get another Labrador.
Yeah.
You know, the trend.
It
Dogs
is- it
can
is-
be
it is definitely
high
trend.
trendy. You know, Paris Hilton has a poodle. I'm gonna go get me a poodle.
Should have Chihuahua too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get me a Chihuahua.
Yep. Yeah. That
And
was
they can't
funny.
tell you the difference between an applehead Chihuahua and deer head Chihuahua.
That's such an easy.
Dirt.
It's such an easy. I know.
Dirt.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. This is a topic we can be talking about for the rest of the week. But I think we're gonna put a cork in it for this week.
All I know is that I won't support anybody who will go and dine on a pet.
Dine on pets. Support the killings
And how they did it. I mean, oh my gosh. I for one, if I saw a cow in those shapes of those dogs, I wouldn't touch it for the simple fear that I will get sick on tainted meat.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, though. We're very cautious on how we buy our meat, how we buy our poultry. We're very cautious on that. We hope that all of you are too, because honestly, no matter what you're going to eat, whatever you're ingesting, you got to make sure you're ingesting the right amounts of minerals and proteins and everything that actually will keep you healthy. You don't want to eat anything that's going to have bacteria.
Well, because it's like if you look at our diet, we very rarely eat red meat.
Yeah.
Very rarely. It's mostly poultry.
Yeah.
And we make sure it's free range.
Yeah.
And then our eggs, we make sure they're cage free. And free range. They just taste better.
They do.
They just all around taste better. So it just takes a little extra effort shopping.
And you know, if you believe in just being vegan, vegetarian, I think there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, vegan is nothing from an animal.
Yeah.
Vegetarian, you can have cheese and milk and stuff.
Fish, right?
Fish.
Oh, yeah.
But vegan is like strictly.
Yeah.
I'm not
And then
gonna
there's
eat
more layers to
eggs,
it.
I'm not gonna eat cheese and stuff like that.
And look, you know, I have no issues whatsoever.
My sister-in-law is a vegetarian. She doesn't eat red meat.
Yeah.
She might have fish, but yeah, she doesn't eat much meat at all.
Yep.
And that's for solely for health reasons.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing, but supporting dog nappers that are just going to kill, it's just, oh gosh.
I mean, can you imagine having your lifelong partner, your buddy, your friend get nabbed from the backyard because they're down 300-400 dogs and they need more for their meat?
Well, it happens all the time, and we all have to be careful about these people who actually dogfight. They do it. I guess it's about, if you really want to actually put the two together, they are identical to the same thing. Just one consumes meat and the other one just destroys life. They both destroy life, I guess. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to conclude this week's episode of The Groomer Next Door. I don't know if I'm coming home next week. We're going to pretty much see how everything's working out this week. But I will keep us up on our Facebook page. I'm going to try to start doing Periscope. So if you want to follow me, Chris_Green on Twitter. It has our show logo on it. I'm going to try to start doing Periscope as well. It'll load up to the actual Twitter feed. Give me a like and you'll be able to keep up on that. I'm going to try to really be a little bit more adamant about doing a little bit more. Really, lot going on. So stay up with us and we'll see where we are this time next week. So I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.
Was without doubt the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.